I hate being fucking married. I long for the day to be single again. The only thing that's causing me to stay and stick it out is because I've been a housewife for 10 years. And to get back out there in the workforce with a mental illness, there's some fears that I have. But I literally do hate being married. So y'all know how I say that I always use my content to push my pain into purpose, make y'all laugh. A lot of this pain is connected to my marriage. A lot of it. I just try my hardest not to put it out there, and I'm still not going to go into details. But just know that this shit is not fucking gold. And no matter how much I try, no matter what I do, at the end of the day, I still just want the fuck out. I want to be single. I know I can love myself better alone than anybody can love me with them. I love who I am, but I do not love who I am with this person. I hate being fucking married. And on my life, once this shit is over, I would never fucking get married again.
The first year of my marriage was the unhappiest, most miserable year of my entire life. How I did my hair, to what dress I wore to church, he was very much like controlling what I did. I got maybe 5 hours of sleep a night, so I'd grind the wheat to make the pancakes, go out to the chicken coop to get the eggs. I'd get all the kids off to school, come home, clean the entire house, polish dishes, mopping, sweeping, getting all the laundry started. I was exhausted. I felt like all of a sudden I was living in this very tiny little box, and it was so lonely. I was miserable. My husband cheated on me, and eventually my marriage ended. For me to leave my husband, I lost everything. All of a sudden my community cut me off. I started having family call and lash out at me. I completely run out of money, living on food banks. I didn't know how I could ever even get a job. I didn't have credit. I can't take care of the kids. My life is just over. I just had this moment of, you know what? A man is not a plan. Like, nobody should be doing this.
A man is not a plan. Get a job, make your own money.
I started kind of developing this Man Proof Your Life program.
I knew that there were other people, and we were just too embarrassed to say anything about it.
Not only was it helping other women, but it was really therapeutic for me to kind of see the problems within the trad wife lifestyle that I had never seen when I was living it.
Codependency goes like this. I'm going to take all the love and all the resources and everything that I have and everything that I am, and I'm going to pour it into you. And then I'm going to stand outside of you like I'm standing outside a pawn shop begging you to give me some of it back, right? I'm going to beg you to give me some love. Meanwhile, I've just emptied myself of all that I contain into you, and now I'm going to beg for scraps. And I've heard it called a crumaholic too. I'm going to beg for crumbs. I'm going to beg for scraps. Now, that's bad math, right? It's like, what if we cut out the middleman and you just pour all of that love and resources into yourself, right? But I didn't know how to do that, and I didn't think I was worthy of that. And I was taught by my culture that what you do is you go out and, especially women are taught this.
Yes.
You get love by pouring in, and then you hope that you get some back.
That's right.
And you give up and sacrifice for this person.
This is why you write later in the book that women who are married end up being unhappier because they've given, where on the other hand, the men who are married are just fine because they're the ones who are being taken care of. They're the ones who everybody is pouring everything into.
This is called the marriage benefit imbalance. And marriage is a very good deal for men. It's not a good deal for women. I don't know what the statistics are in same-sex marriages because I don't think it's been studied. But the question remains, who's playing the traditional role of the wife in this relationship, meaning who's overgiving?
Listen, guys, if you've been seeing these TikTok clips of married women crying, venting, or even saying that they feel stuck, then this video is for you. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are reacting to TikTok clips of married women opening up about feeling unhappy, overwhelmed, and trapped. Some people may say they are simply complaining. And when these women come out, I say that they are really being honest. So it's not just about them complaining, but it's a reality. Most of the marriages, women feel unhappy, women feel unappreciated, they feel stuck in the marriage, and sometimes some feel trapped in it. But I'm not saying that all this is caused by men. No, I'm not here to bash anyone. It's not mainly men's cause. Sometimes it's our own fault as women. So even men go through such things at times when they are in a marriage. However, today we are looking at clips of married women who feel like they are really unhappy in the marriage. Some feel trapped for, of course, various reasons, but of course some get out of these situations by either talking to their partners and working things out, or by getting a divorce. So we are going to watch these clips together, understand where these women are coming from, and then we shall react. Hit that like button, subscribe if it is your first time here, and let's watch.
Hello. Today is April 4th, my 14th wedding anniversary. It's about nearly 10:30 at night, and my husband hasn't spoken to me all day. All day. He's come home, hasn't said hello to me, hasn't said a word to me. He's ignored me. On our 14th wedding anniversary. And he's doing it because he came into some money. I didn't ask for any of it, except to not have to spend what little I have. And because I asked about it, this man has ignored me all day. All day. All day. It's our 14th wedding anniversary. I've been here at home all day. I called him even earlier today to let him know about the painters arriving. And even then, his response to me was, "What?" This is my life. This is my life. This is what has always been between us for 14 years. Last year was a tumultuous year for us, and all I've asked since then is marriage counseling, and to this day, a year later, nothing. Which tells me I should leave. Clearly.
There is an epidemic of women who are unhappily married that cannot leave their husbands and their marriages for various reasons, whether that is because they are financially stuck in them, meaning they have left their jobs years ago to stay home and raise their children, and it's almost impossible to get back into the workforce and making enough money to buy a place to live with your children and a safe space for them and make enough money to feed them, clothe them, house them, so they can't leave, or it's not safe for them to leave, or any number of reasons. But I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that this is an epidemic. I have spent the last 5 years talking to women on this app and the other about ways that they can find happiness, find purpose, find meaning, and take back control in their own marriages that they simply cannot get out of. And it is an astounding, jaw-dropping number of women. Let me tell you, I would say most women you know are unhappily married in some capacity. Many women would like to leave their spouse if there was a way to make sure that their children are safe, make sure that it wouldn't put them in severe debt, and that they had a way to pay for their living. But for all those women that cannot leave for whatever reason, I have created a guide. It's almost 70 pages, 69 to be exact, and it will give you control back in your life in a very uncontrollable situation. It may feel like there's not a lot of things that you can control right now, and rightfully so, but this is one of them. You can still live for yourself. You can still have a meaningful life. You can still do meaningful things, and you can still have control of various aspects of your life. And I have worked really hard over the past 6 months on this. I've talked to lots of people. I've talked to lawyers and other people among them to put this guide together to make it the most beneficial for women in these very circumstances.
Hiding in the closet again. So my husband told me that he feels like I've checked out of our marriage for the last year or so. But what he doesn't realize is that it's not that I've checked out of the marriage. I've checked out of being the emotional and mental quarterback, running back, defensive back, coach, owner of this entire marriage. And I really have. Like, I'm not doing that work anymore. I'm just trying to take all of that energy, that mental and emotional energy that I put into every aspect of our relationship for the last 17 years. And I'm taking it and I'm actually putting it back into me. And because I'm not like this superhuman person, I don't have enough for him. I don't have enough for me and him. And there's not enough room for both of us on the headboard. Now, because I'm a woman, of course, my tendency is to feel bad about it, especially when he expresses displeasure or sadness or feeling like I'm getting further away from him. I'm not doing that work anymore. And now he's like really noticing it. I explained to him too that like I'm on my therapy journey. I'm not happy, and I'm not blaming him. I'm taking ownership of it myself and saying, hey, I've got work to do. I've got things that I have to do to get my head right, to get my spirit right, to get my soul right. I want to make plans for myself. I want to do things that make me happy and make me feel good about myself. And the fact is, it hasn't always been this relationship. This relationship has drained the shit out of me. But when I try to explain it to him, it's like I'm speaking, Chinese. Like, he doesn't understand what I'm saying because I did it for so long. Like, willingly and happily, I did all the planning for every aspect of our lives, everything that we've done. I'm always taking the first step. I'm always saying the first person to say I'm sorry. Like, I'm always taking the lead in that mental and emotional space since the beginning of the marriage. I mean, I get it. I know he's used to it. It's what he's comfortable with. But I can't do it anymore. Like, I just can't. I don't have enough for him. And I need to take care of myself. And of course I do feel bad, but I don't feel bad because I know I'm doing what's best for me. I matter. I'm a human being too. Actually, there's kind of a part of me that hopes that he looks at me and sees the work that I'm doing, and then maybe he might take it upon himself to do some work that he needs to do for himself. I don't know. That might be a pipe dream though.
I want to talk about the time I found out I was pregnant with my son and I cut all my hair off. I went from this to this. I already had my adorable toddler daughter, but this was not a fashion statement for me. I was in a relationship where I was told I'd take way too long to get ready. A shower longer than 10 minutes was selfish, and I wasn't allowed to spend my own money on makeup or shampoo or getting my hair cut or colored without a fight, which was absurd because I had a client-facing traveling job where I was presenting and implementing software at hospitals across America. But in his eyes, I wasn't worth it. I wasn't worth investing in. So one morning I was rushing to get ready and straighten my hair and wrangle my toddler to get her to daycare, all while pregnant. And I snapped at her. I yelled at her for getting into my stuff because she was a toddler. But the look on her little face broke me. I dropped her off and I thought, what am I doing? I love my daughter more than I love this hair. So if cutting it off means I'm not going to lose my temper with her in the mornings, then the hair has to go. When I was at the salon, I was dissociated the whole entire time. I worked on my computer while this stylist was like, are you sure? She was chopping it all off and starting to shave it. And she kept asking, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, it's fine. The only part that registered was when she was shaving my neck, and the physical touch felt really nice because in my marriage, I had none. I couldn't even log into our bank account. He wouldn't give me the password. But my checks as the breadwinner were being direct deposited. Every time I bought a cup of coffee, he'd get an alert and he'd call to discuss the fact that I just spent money. And on top of that kind of behavior, he would tell me I wore too much makeup. He didn't like my clothes, but I wasn't allowed to really get new clothes. wasn't able to get my nails done, and he just didn't like how I looked even when I tried. So I stopped trying. Cutting my hair was both surrender and rebellion. But here's what I know now that I've been through this, and after talking to so many women in the comments and seeing how people are interacting with my content. A lot of women who cut their hair short, not for style, but out of nowhere, they're not okay. They're exhausted. They don't feel like their life is theirs anymore. They've been pushed to the bottom of the list in their own homes. They're taking care of everything for everyone else, or they're being made to feel wrong or bad for taking the time that they deserve to look presentable every day and feel like themselves. So for me, cutting my hair was survival. It was me saying, I'll deal with not feeling feminine if it gives me back 5 minutes of patience with my own daughter. But it should never have had to be that way. Because when you see a woman losing herself before she's even 60, I can guarantee it's not about age. It's about a husband that's making her insane, wearing her down until she can't even recognize herself. And if you ask her if she's fine, she'll probably tell you that she is. I would have too. I wasn't ready to tell people what was really going on because it was scary. I was in denial. Behind the scenes, I was catching him talking to other women. I was dealing with his drinking, hiding the fact that he would break doors, punch holes in walls, smash our cell phones, or scream at me after my kids went to bed. I even packed a hospital bag with a taxi number next to it because we didn't have Uber, and I was a week overdue with my daughter, and I just knew if I went into labor, he wouldn't be able to get me there. Those moments of betrayal add up over time to where it just becomes too much to bear, and you don't even feel like doing your hair or taking care of yourself anymore because if behavior is a language, your partner has shown you that you have no value in their eyes, which is not true. That's all about them and their own self-worth. But it was such a big, dark secret, and he behaved like a normal husband in front of other people, so I didn't know who to tell or who would even believe me. Because if you've seen my other content, I didn't have a great relationship with my family either. So no, cutting my hair was not just a haircut. This was a visible signal of invisible despair. It was my way of saying I'm not okay. But what's crazy is I always had a vision of this right now and believed I would get back to myself one day. I could see it. I hoped it would be through his sobriety and we'd stay together and heal this very rough first 10 years of marriage. But I had to take things into my own hands and just get divorced. And now I'm me again. And it's a shame that I had to put my kids through this because it was very avoidable. My kids needed me to be okay so that I could keep rebuilding a life where I could thrive and attract the right partner to make us all feel emotionally safe. And I will never again let a man destroy my self-image or make me feel like I exist only for a paycheck or for his physical needs ever, ever, ever again. And if you've been through this, I completely understand and I see you and I want you to know that you are not alone. And I know divorce is scary, but I hope you're seeing enough women in the comments of these videos and enough of other women posting their own videos saying, I got divorced and I didn't die. And in fact, I wish I'd done it sooner.
I want to start this video by saying that I'm not asking for money and I'm not asking for sympathy. What I'm asking for is if you are a young 14, 16, 21-year-old girl, listen up. I drove to the grocery store. I need to grab some milk and bread and a couple of things, flipped open the bank app on my phone, and I've been sitting in my car crying ever since because I never have enough money. And why do I never have enough money? Because when I was a 19-year-old girl, I fell in love. My Mormon faith told me that I was supposed to be a stay-at-home mom. I got married. I started having babies. I dropped out of college. I never had a career. My only jobs that I ever had in life were a waitress at the Olive Garden and managing a pretzel maker in a mall. Oh, my first couple years of marriage, I decided that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, so I bought a windshield business. I was 20. And my Mormon stake president reminded me that women weren't supposed to work, so I quit my own business, handed it over to my husband, took my name off of it. I would work our family business throughout the next 24 years of my marriage, but I never got paid. I didn't have a salary. My name wasn't on it. I literally worked for room and board. That's it. I would eventually also launch a custom home building company with my uncle as the architect and my friends as the builder, my designs, my realtor. But again, because my husband was the man, his name was on all of the projects, his name was on the business. I remember one of the last custom homes that I built, we sold it and made about a $260,000 profit. That money all went into his bank account. I didn't even have a bank account. I should have said that in the beginning. I never had a bank account. He would give me little envelopes of cash to go grocery shopping with. Anyway, that house sells, the money goes in the bank. I just asked if I could buy myself a piano with the money. I had worked on building that house for 2 years. All of the money went into his bank account. Nothing was under my name. I got a piano, and I got a free house to live in, and I got groceries. So I found myself divorced at age 44 just 5 years ago, and within just a few months I was living in my car while he made about $250,000. He would eventually quit that job so that he wouldn't have to pay alimony and child support. He has only paid alimony one time ever in the 5 years since we've been divorced. Once ever. Right after my divorce, I remember being really confident about my ability to get a job, so I put together a resume. I remember one of the first interviews that I had, this management position for a windshield company, similar to the one that we had run. And the man actually laughing as he was interviewing me, like he was really sympathetic. He wasn't being a douchebag, but he was laughing. And he's like, so let me get this straight. You helped manage your family windshield business with your husband, but you were mostly a stay-at-home mom, and all you did was like the marketing and the hiring and firing and some of the strategy for the business. But it became really apparent that I needed so many more skills to have any type of management job. I couldn't even work the basic computers. He told me in the interview, please don't apply for any more jobs like this. You are not qualified at all. You're not capable of doing this unless you go back to school and get your degree or get some different experience. And so I ended up, my first job after my divorce was $11 an hour, 4 hours a day, working as an assistant to a school teacher in an elementary school. I made $44 a day. For 24 years, I lived in $1 million homes. I vacationed all over the world. I spent my summers in Hawaii. I could buy myself $500 jeans, diamond tennis bracelets. We had boats and RVs and whatever I wanted. And it never bothered me once that my financial security was dependent on that man being in love with me. I never realized that him liking me or not liking me or finding me sexy or attractive or interesting determined whether or not my children could eat, whether or not I could buy myself a fucking jug of milk and a loaf of bread. So I had my 5th surgery in 2 years, 2 weeks ago, and I'm supposed to be in bed resting, and I can't because I worked 7 days a week since my divorce 5 years ago, which is why I'm covered in paint and looking like crap. We actually have a 4-day weekend here in Tucson, and since my partner isn't working, he's working on furniture flip partner projects with me. I have no retirement. I have no savings, no education, no resume. I was almost a straight A student throughout all of my education. I went to college at age 17. I had dreams for my future. I'm working so hard to get myself out of just perpetual side hustle hell. There's not a day that goes by that I don't wonder why. Why I didn't have a fucking backup plan. Why my kids eating and having stability was dependent on a romantic relationship. Why nobody told me to put money in the bank. Why nobody told me, don't have babies until you have an education and some experience. Don't have so many kids. I wish somebody had told me to put my name on our vehicle loans and to put my name on our houses. I wish somebody had told me that it's okay to put those babies in daycare for a couple days a week and go to college and have a job. And I think I need to do an entire Trad Wife sequel, because you can be happy and rich and loving your life like Ballerina Farm until the guy walks out. I want you guys to imagine for a minute, even rich Hannah, if Deanna walked out, if all of his financial backing and he had to sell the farm, and then what does she have? Find another rich boy to marry? I just don't want one more woman to DM me, comment, send me their stories, cry to me about how hard it is for them to support their families, and I am so tired of living my own story. We have to make this stop. Raise your daughters to be financially independent. Focus on their futures and educations just as much as you focus on your sons. I wish that someone had done that for me.
So I married a bad guy, and being a Christian made that situation its own special type of hell. Think of the criminal from Kindergarten Cop. And it's all because of what the Bible says about divorce. It is not permissible to divorce your spouse unless your spouse has cheated or has abandoned you. So basically, shortly after I married my ex-husband, I found out that he was someone entirely different than what he had led me to believe. He built up this elaborate persona about this person that he was that ended up being completely untrue, primarily around being a believer himself, which he was not. I've got some other videos where I share that whole story, but it was brutal. Learning that he had lied about who he was entirely was just the beginning of how tortured I felt in that marriage, which I was married to him for 3 years, all the while feeling really trapped. Again, because of what the Bible says about divorce. But I also felt really abandoned by God because up until this point, I'd been obedient to the Lord, and it was hard to do during that time that me and this guy were dating. But I put my foot down and was determined to be obedient to God with that situation by only allowing myself to date him as a believer. So how am I now in this situation where I'm basically screwed? I feel completely trapped and alone and abandoned. And because of the nature of the situation and basically what the Bible says about divorce, I had very minimal support from my church at that time, especially the new friends that I'd made at that church. I remember meeting with a girlfriend, feeling tortured, just in tears, trying to explain what was going on. And her response was, well, the first year's the hardest. And I can't tell you how many times I would, in tears, feeling so broken, try to explain this terrible situation that I'm in, and people would just have this response that, oh, the first year's the hardest. It was extremely invalidating, and it seemed like there was an undercurrent of not being able to acknowledge the situation for what it was, because then they might be advocating for divorce. So it left me feeling really invalidated about my whole experience. I saw this play out again not long after when my ex-husband and I started going to marriage counseling through my church. We were counseled by a couple who was over the care ministry, so I was feeling pretty optimistic about that. I felt like someone was gonna finally see how bad my situation was and help me somehow. Anyway, that was not the case. And we went to counseling with them for months. Early on, I was really upfront about what was going on. I was telling them that my husband at that time, he would stonewall me for weeks at a time. He would call me all sorts of the worst types of names. He was completely unable to take accountability for anything, and the list went on. So I was really surprised when not long after that, kind of in passing, I'm talking to the woman over the care ministry, and I say, yeah, my husband, he's really emotionally abusive. And this woman, she takes me by the arm and she says, don't say that. And I'm like, am I going crazy? What in the world? There was no argument about whether or not this man was emotionally abusive. He definitely was, but I'm not allowed to say it. So I'm feeling really alone. I'm super isolated. I don't know what I would have done without my dog. My husband at the time, he could care if I lived or died. If I wasn't bringing up any sort of issue with our marriage, we would get along. But as soon as I had a need, he would despise me for that. I'm experiencing all that abandonment trauma from my childhood again now in this terrible situation where I'm married to this guy who's a lot like what I experienced growing up. So I'm really suffering, but I'm looking for answers. I'm looking in the Bible, trying to find a loophole. How can I get out of this? I'm praying to God, please rescue me from this. Like, that was my prayer. I was just like in such anguish. I was looking for help anywhere I could find it, really. I called into a radio show called Hope in the Night. That didn't help. I was also listening to another radio show called New Life Live, which is basically a panel of counselors, and then people will call in with whatever their current issue may be, and then this panel of counselors will then give wisdom to whatever their situation is. Henry Cloud is sometimes on this panel of counselors. He's also the guy that wrote the book Boundaries. So if you know my story, it's interesting that Henry Cloud and his crew, they'll like show up during these like pivotal points in my life where I really need some direction. So anyway, I'm listening to this show. These are Christians, mind you, who also hold the Bible in high regard. There were a couple of occasions where women with similar situations to mine would call in the show, and almost immediately these counselors would turn the question back on the caller and ask, why are you tolerating this mistreatment? And I'm really thankful for that perspective from other believers, because if you remember, I have all these Christians who can't even acknowledge what I'm going through because they think that maybe I might want to get a divorce. So yeah, I felt like this gave me permission to start thinking a little bit more clearly about my situation. So this was around the time that I separated from my ex the first time, and it wasn't really anything outside of the ordinary as far as what caused that. It was a typical conversation where I brought a hurt to him, and he called me a GD effing moron. And I was just like, you know what? I knew that I was worth so much more than that. So I was just like, hey, I need to separate. So at that point, there was a couple from my church that had a spare room. I moved in with them and had some conversations with them that were good. I felt heard and I felt supported, especially in the way that they were giving me a place to live. That's another thing. When you don't have a lot of family, there's not a lot of security that you have when you're in these really terrible situations. But I'm not feeling supported in the sense that they understand why I needed to separate, that separating was important for me to do so that I could really start to establish my worth and value.
All right, thank you so much. If you're able to watch till this far, right there we have a woman who is talking about feeling exhausted, like doing most of the work in her household, from looking after her own children to looking after her husband, everything around the home. That is something that is exhausting. Some men may feel like they married you just to do that, and they feel like you were trained just to do that, not knowing that this is serious work. It takes a lot of your energy. It drains you. Sometimes you work from morning till dawn. Sometimes you may even have no time to eat. As you're trying to do this, the other one is calling you. As you're maybe finishing to clean this, maybe the baby has that and there, and then you know all those things. As you're planning to do the other one, you need to do this. So you are taken up the whole day, and by the time you go to rest, you are exhausted. You are the first to wake up and you are the last to go to bed. But sometimes you feel really unappreciated after doing that. Imagine doing that for year 1 to year 2 to year 3 until I don't know when. Couples, you need to be asking each other, how do you feel? Do you need something? Is everything going well? Are you okay? Do you need help? Or even sometimes you don't even need to ask. If you have time, if you say you've come back from work, you rest, of course. After maybe having a rest, when you see something is not right somewhere, don't wait for your wife just to come and correct it. You as their partner, you can also correct the thing. If maybe, say, a baby wants something and maybe your partner is busy somewhere, or cooking or whatever, or taking a bath or what, and the child maybe messed up themselves, of course, you as their partner, you also take the initiative to clean up that kid. Believe me, when your wife sees you doing that, she will really appreciate you for that support that you give her. But if you see it and then you just ignore and wait for her, or even call her, you know, some men can even call you from wherever you are to just tell you that, come and see your child, how she is, come and see this thing, come and give me this. You know, there are, especially those traditional men, a man can just sit there and then they call you, I want drinking water. So when you hear women complaining that they are exhausted, please, dear men, listen to them. It's exhausting, and these women need a break. That's why some of them end up with mental breakdown. They need your help. They need a break away from that daily routine. It's boring, it's tiresome. Just give them a hand. Show them love. Emotional draining that sometimes people go through in the marriages. And this is the part nobody prepares women for. Your dreams become later. You are now thinking of your marriage. You're now thinking of your family. You're just thinking about your husband. You postpone your dreams. In fact, you even forget about them. Your needs become something extra. You put your children, you put your husband before yourself. And your identity, in fact, becomes optional. It is your family first, then you last, or later, or even nothing. That's why sometimes they say a single woman is the happiest woman, while a married woman is the most happy person. And that is how women were really taught, that put your family first before yourself. Of course, there are men, the responsible men also do that. They put their family first before themselves. But also a woman is told to put her family first before herself. So if you married a man who is not responsible enough, or who doesn't have that brain or mind of looking after their family, then you, the woman, you will become kind of the man. So that's why when you're looking for a marriage partner, if you're religious, they advise you to pray as you're searching, so that you get a good husband, so that you get a responsible husband, so that you get a caring husband, so that you get a husband who will love you wholeheartedly. And when you get such a husband, you may not feel the misery that other women may be feeling or may be going through. The Mormon woman who gave up everything, her business, she dropped out of school. That is how she was taught, and that is what she was encouraged to do. So you become financially dependent on your husband, of course, in the name of love and of marriage, because we all go into this marriage hoping for the best, thinking that, yes, especially for the first kind of marriages or for the first kind of serious relationships, as women, when you are younger, you go into this relationship or into this marriage like you're giving your everything to this man. You just think that everything will work out. You never even think of like future divorce. You never think of like anything could happen. Only after a few years for things to to begin falling apart. And so when you sacrifice your finances or career for your marriage, love turns into dependency. Some women, of course, share that. They feel lonely even when they are married. Then, of course, the usual excuse that women were told to struggle sometimes makes women feel trapped in these marriages. It's through these struggles that you will stand firm. It's through these struggles that your home will become better. It's through these struggles that you will become a better woman or a better wife, a good wife. It's through these struggles that your husband will appreciate you as a strong woman, as a marriage material. So this is struggle love conditioning. Most women staying for their kids is the most common reason why women stay in toxic or unhappy marriages. You're like, I want to stay for the kids. I don't want my kids to grow up in a broken kind of home. You want your children to grow up in a full home with mommy and daddy together. And yeah, many women have done that until their kids have grown. And then after the kids become independent, people go separate ways. However, let me say this clearly. Most married women are not unhappy because they hate marriage. They are just unhappy because the labor in their marriage isn't shared. Emotional support is not equal. Their sacrifices are expected, but in most cases not appreciated. And if you saw yourself in these clips, you're not crazy and you're not ungrateful, because marriage should add peace and not take it. So with that, I will come to the end of this video. Thank you so much for staying with me. Like and subscribe if you're new here, and share this because these conversations really matter. Please drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about these women complaining that they are unhappy in their marriages? Some of them feel trapped and stuck and also struggling. Is it real? And let's catch up in the next video.